Okay, so this is a build video for my BashCrow. Wasn't very strong without Oakensoul, but right now this is pretty decent. So, start at the beginning, and I am an orc. You can go with any race you want, but I just happen to be an orc on this. Imperial would probably be really good, but I do have to say the nice thing about the orc is that its passives aren't terrible. You get stam, you get health, and when you deal damage, you heal. You also get the damage, which applies to your blast bones and your ulti. And your sprint is cheap as well as quicker, so that actually works out. Alchemy. Apparently I can make potions with this guy. Okay, interesting. So, the gear, pretty simple. Potentate sword, you can run whatever trait. I'm doing Nirnhone, Sharpen would be good too. Shield of Potentate's sturdy with a health glyph. And I run entrapping poisons. So when you're bashing, um, the entrapping poisons do go off, so that helps you snare and remove. People are going to try to get away from you. So if you can catch one guy slowly, I'm running Balorg. So instead of running two sets, I ran Potentates for the damage mitigation and reduction in cost of the ult. In Balorg, not really worried about the ultimate damage is based off of your spell damage. So that actually does go up when you pop. So Balorg, Bash Attack deals physical damage. So that actually goes up. Your regular Bash doesn't, but it doesn't matter because when you're in ulti form, that's when you gain the extra damage. So I went with Balorg. I'm in 7 heavy. Of course, I'm wearing Deadlands Demolisher. So I've got reinforced, reinforced, sturdy, 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 reinforced, sturdy. So 3 reinforced, 4 sturdy. I don't roll dodge on this very often. I'm almost always blocking. And when you're bashing, you're blocking. So you're mitigating damage as you're in bash form. I've got 1 trainee for the health, the Oakensoul ring, and the Ring of Potentates. And of course, all of this is bash damage enchants. I've got Hokujos on the head, legs and chest, and stamina on the rest. I'm running Blighted Blast Bones, of course. It's just a extra DPS. You can cast this, shield assault to somebody, start bashing them, and then this hits at the same time. And that's, you can one-shot some people with that. Others are too tanky, but it still is a lot of pressure. Intensive Mender. So I had to make a decision. Do I want the 8 seconds every single time, or do I want 16 seconds? Because the heal isn't necessarily the reason that I'm using this, although that is a bonus to it. The specific reason that I'm using the Mender is to gain the Living Death passive that is, while having a Blast Bone, Mage, or Mender active, your health, magic, and stam recovery is increased by 200. So I'm a vampire, the health recovery doesn't really matter, but the magic and stam recovery does. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to cast this every 8 seconds, or do I want to cast it every 16? And when you do and get the 10% damage mitigation. Now, I thought to go in that route, because I didn't really need this for the Hell. Ren Flesh is my heal. Heal. But it's half the cost. So when I did the math in my head, I figured I can either spend 4,666 magic every 16 seconds. And when that happens, if I'm in a fight and I spend 4,000 magic and then I try to get over here and spend 4,000 magic, I'm spending 8,600, so over 9,000 magic on 2 moves. And then if I hit this again, I'm lower. So I decided to go with this because it'll help me sustain my magic a little bit better, being half the cost. So I gave up the 10% damage mitigation, which I'm blocking primarily anyway, and went with the lower cost 8 second and just keep this buff up. So it's between if I'm aggressive or defensive. This, of course, the main heal. Now I've tried several moves here. I've tried reverb, when it gets too laggy, reverb is worthless. Uh, Not that Shielded Assault actually is better, but it definitely helps close the gap on the people that don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. They just want to run until they have 10v1. All the named players in here that are XV1ers know who I'm talking about. Now, I've tried Runic Scythe with a heavy attack. I've tried the Agony Totem. I've tried the Fighters Guild Turn Evil. I tried Silver Leash. The issue with Silver Leash over Shielded Assault is that you can pull them to you, but once you've pulled them to you, they run away, and then you can't pull them again until they're stunnable. Whereas with Shielded Assault, if they're running away, you can stay on top of them. I mean, if they would just stand and fight in a PvP combat fighting game, it wouldn't be an issue. But that's not what people want to do. They want to run away until they outnumber you. That's how this game rolls. I'm using Mist Form, so I had two options here. I could run Mist Form, or I could run Race Against Time. So the reason that I opted, because the extra 10% crit damage would be nice, the Major Expedition would be nice. However, Mist Form's a tad cheaper, and you can turn it on and off, toggle it on and off. You get the damage mitigation. And so I decided, do I want 10% crit damage, or do I want the extra damage that you get from the Vampire skill line? As you can see, I'm running that. So I went with Mist Form because it helps me maneuver into an area. What you're trying to do with this bash is you're trying to maneuver into an area that's closed in a tower. A really good spot that I found for this is there's a lot of them tower humpers that like to hide behind the box. And so I've utilized that style, moved my Necro into that area right as I'm, kind of kite around when because I'm literally going to have 20 people on me because that's how they do it. Kite around that tower until I pull into the room with the little box, get behind the box, pop my Goliath, hit my blast bones, come out and start bashing, and I have literally wiped a few groups that way. It actually works quite well. And of course, pummeling Goliath, which is fucking awesome. It's very cool with this setup. So, I am 1400 magic, which is plenty, as long as you're not fighting too long. I do carry tripods just in case. The max health is 34,000, which is nice. The stamina is 25, which is... The recoveries are really bad, but it's not terrible. If you hit your Mender, and let me do a stam pot here, you get up to 1570, and then you can get that even higher with continuous. So the problem is you don't get stam back when you are blocking. So you gotta make sure that you are heavy attacking when you get to about quarter stam or so, or have a pot ready. The nice thing is the bash cost is only 300, so that works out really well. As you can see, I have 23.4% crit, and I couldn't really do anything to get that higher, which is another reason why I chose the extra damage over the extra crit damage. And my pen is 3444. So that is because I am running the Lover Mundus, I believe, if I can find the thing. Or do I not have? Oh, there she is. So I'm running the Lover Mundus. No Divines, that's what you get. I'm sword and board, so that's what you get. But that was another reason why we went with Balorg, is to get that maximum penetration when you're going for your BashCrow. So that definitely changes the game. Every once in a while, or most of the time that I'm playing with anybody that rolls with me, most of my friends, some of them are at DKs. So I get that breath, that poison breath on somebody, that definitely helps me out. But solo, which is that ends up being I'm one of the last people alive because of how tanky I am. I only have my Balorg pen. That's just the way it is. I have 8 in health and 56 into stamina. I like my stat balance. It's fine. I could go for a tad more magic maybe, or a tad more stam, but I really I could go for more health. I like the balance of where I'm at. I feel like my sustain works where it's at, and I feel like my health is plenty in Cyrodiil. As you can see, my damage is decent. My spell resistance, physical resistance are 27. That doesn't get any higher unless somebody busts me with Blessing of Restoration. Um, Resto, Staff Slam. So it is what it is. And the crit resist is what it is. But pretty decent resistances considering I have Mistform and block an awful lot. And as you can see, my block cost is 876. So, um, Stage 3 Vampire for the Undeath and the Mistform, obviously. And I'm running Smoked Bear Haunch, so you can actually run Jewels of Misrule in place of it, but I have some Bear Haunch, so I'm going to run those. And the pots that I use are many. I use many pots. Okay, so the bread and butter is immovable, health, and stam. So when you're going to bash, you don't want to get stunned. You're already going to get snared, talenced, bombarded. There's one guy in each um, group that is specifically a bombard spammer or a talent spammer, so you're going to have to roll dodge through that. But I don't want to get stunned. I want to keep my bash going. Then I've got these. I typically try to use these more than the regular ones because I get the stand back and the major endurance, which I want. But I get that major expedition, which helps me. You know, the Balrog burst window is about the same as the major expedition on this pot, which helps. Then I got the tech pots for night blades because they're everywhere. My bread and butter invisibilities with a heal in case I gotta fucking disappear. I made some minor heroism pots. I'm not using them that often, but I do have them in case I want to get to 500 quicker. And I made these a long time ago. I don't need the major savagery, but they're health and stam pots, so it works. So, this weapon doesn't matter, and that's basically it. When you come to the champ points, I've tried a few different setups. Green doesn't really matter. I got Liquid Efficient, so my pots might not be consumed. Warmount, Gifted Rider, and Steed's Blessing. Over here, I've had a few different attempts at champion points in the blue tree, like Wrathful Strikes and so far. So I put Wrathful Strikes on, and my bash damage is higher with Mastered Arms. So I put Mastered Arms on. I have Biting Aura because that's my ulti is an AoE, and my Deadlands Demolisher set is an AoE. So I went with that. Occult Overload because if you're bashing a group, you got a chance to kill them all. And then I'm running Riposte. So when you block an attack from an enemy within 7 meters, your next direct damage attack made within 5 seconds deals 33 additional damage. So the 33% damage when you're bashing and someone hits you with an attack and you bash them the second time in Goliath, that bash will hit 33% harder. So that is why I'm running Riposte. I've thought about Wrathful Strikes. I thought about getting a little more healing. But this Riposte is actually working incredibly well. Boundless Vitality and Fortified are staples in my red tree. Every single character I play runs these two. Now, I run Celerity because I need to be as quick as I can be, and that's going to be really hard to do. And I'm running Survival Instinct. So, when you're afflicted with a status effect, your core combat skills cost 5% less per stage, 25%. Now the thing about that is I'm a Necro, so I can apply a status effect to myself, which will reduce the core combat skills, which is every skill on this page. Bash cost, break free cost, sneak cost, sprint cost, block cost, dodge roll cost. So those skills get reduced by 25% when you have a negative effect on you. And that's basically it. Oh, and there we go.